that deals with auditing, accounting services, as well as which was CFO. I'm pleased to have Mr. Jeff with me here. He is the director and founder of Diaspora Insurance, headquartered in the UK, and they have operations all around the world. Welcome to the interview, Mr. Jeff.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Mollen, for the opportunity. We are pleased to be part of the discussion.
Yes, thank you very much. From our side, Jeff, we deal with a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, and we have seen that due to COVID, as well as the pandemic or even losing employees, it's something that is very critical and key. So I wanted to just start this conversation with what do you think, in your own understanding, why do people not necessarily plan for death or even talk about it in general?
Yeah, it's a very, very key question. And before I go into the question, maybe I want to just take this opportunity to wish all those who are currently hospitalized or affected by the COVID pandemic, and also to extend our heartfelt condolences to those who lost family members in the pandemic. It's such a terrible thing, and it's still going on. Hopefully with the global vaccination, things will be getting better, as we have seen that hospitalization and death are now low due to vaccination. So I want to take also this opportunity to urge people who are sitting on the fence regarding vaccination to say, please, guys, it's not just for you, it's for your family, it's for those for your loved ones, for your next of kin, for people in the community. So it's very important that we get vaccination done. As regards the question of death and why people always skate around or don't want to discuss death, I think in most African communities, death tends to be viewed as a taboo subject. So it's not to be discussed, it's not to be talked about. It's as if by not discussing or confronting the reality of death, you are postponing death.
Yes.
So that's the biggest reason why you find a lot of people sitting, not wanting to talk about death. Yeah. Like I'm talking about death, therefore I'm acknowledging that it exists, therefore it will happen.
Yes.
But I want to believe that death is one of the most certain things in life. As they put it, once you are born, it's a matter of time. In other words, they say you begin to die the day you are born.
Yes.
You just don't know how long. You just don't know how long you got. So it's the reality. There's two certain things in life: death and taxes. So,
yes.
so the saying goes. So it's something that people need to accept that it will happen, but people always treat it as a taboo area, and in most situations it results in trouble because death strikes when you are then least prepared, and it causes a lot of problems at personal level, at family level, your employers, your employment, your people who are financially dependent on you. So it creates a lot of pain when it happens, when it's not planned for. But the key reason why people avoid discussing about death, I think it's because in the African custom, we tend to want to believe that death is a taboo area.
Yeah. So from what you are just saying is, we all know that it's certain, but the fact that it's termed as taboo, we want to ignore it, but we know within, which is something that is very critical. And I hope that through this interview that we are having, a lot of people are going to make conscious decisions or discussion within the families, because I think that's why even other people fail to move on or even take it, because it's something that was not spoken about in the context of families, let alone now coming to the workplace. Since I was employed before, and I never had a chance of really maybe discussing death with our employers or something like that, and it's still happening. Yet it's something that as organizations we need to get ready for, or even plan and prepare for that. So, I mean, there are a lot of effects of ignoring that. In your own understanding, or with how you have seen the death playing even in organizations and families, what are the effects of ignoring this topic? What are the effects?
I think the effects are very, very immense, and it brings to the fore the reality and the fact that you need to accept your situation. You need to accept the reality that you live in. And the one other contributing factor to why death is treated as a taboo area, I think it was largely because of the nature of African societies. We live communally. A neighbor's problem is also your problem. And that's the traditional way of African life, where you call on someone's problem. So in that vein, people would say, okay, fine. Even if I treat death as a taboo area, don't you do anything about it. In the end, it's not my problem, it's the community's problem. The community will gather around and solve the problem when it happens. But our reality and our situation now is different. Things have transformed have evolved over time. And we are now talking about people who are in the diaspora, people who are transnational, people who live abroad, people who are employed in different organizations, different capacities in terms of organizational ability to deal with it for you. So it's no longer the case that the whole community just gather and sort it. Now someone has to take responsibility to say a dignified send-off is something that every human being, irrespective of color, creed, social background, or economic capacity, everyone deserves to be given a dignified. It's part of our contract, as our civilization contract, that every human being should have a dignified send-off. But in the reality that we now live in, it's no longer a community problem. You may find that the community you live with, especially in the diaspora, in the first world countries, life tends to be quite individualistic, where you don't even, your neighbors' problems are not anywhere near your problem. There could be a death next door, you don't even care, or there could be a death at your house, the neighbors don't even care. So going back to the question of what problems it causes, there is a lot of problems, because to start with, death is not cheap.
Yes.
Dignified send-off is not cheap. Someone has to pay. Someone has to pay. So if you don't do anything, you want a dignified send-off. If you are a transnational citizen and you die offshore and want to be buried in your home country, who is going to pay? That's the question that you need to ask, to say, God forbid, I don't wake up tomorrow. Who is going to pay? If there's no solution, if there's not enough money in your account, it means there's a problem. And even if there's enough money in your account at the point of interrogating the issue, it doesn't mean there will be enough money in your account tomorrow. So the question is, people need to confront that and plan, because it will cause a lot of problems. Most of the problems to do with the unplanned death or premature death are to do with finances. Who is going to pay for the cost of your send-off?
Yeah, so I think you actually raised a very critical one. I want to bring it home in the space that I play in, especially in businesses. So there are a lot of things, like you spoke about, death is not cheap and is costly. And if we now bring it closer to the work environment, losing a key person due to unplanned death or premature death, because you never plan for death anyway. So premature death, losing your key person. So how is that not planning for that affect now businesses? We're talking about business now, to say, let's say I have a key person now, premature, I didn't even think that this person, how is it going to affect the business if that death is not
it is a very key issue that needs a lot of, especially small businesses, to confront, because the small business, unlike big international, multinational companies, which have got resources and capacity, human capital capacity at every level to support certain roles. With small businesses, what you tend to find is you've got a very key person who, if they are not feeling well, you can see the effect on your top line immediately, to say things are not right. or things don't work, systems fail to work properly because your key support person is not there, or key decision maker is not there. So imagine then if it happens that that person dies, that can create a big challenge to the organization in terms of delivering the services or delivering the production or anything that the key person is responsible for planning, for leadership. All those things would be affected, and it will create a lot of problems. First big problem, if you lose a key person, is that it will affect your operations. It will affect your top line in terms of revenue or profitability. And it may even affect the sustenance of the business itself. There are businesses that will operate entirely based on the one person, or maybe one or two people. And if one person dies, you may find that the business will also die with the owner. Yes. It means that speaks to the issue of key men, what is called a key man or key woman or key person.
Yes.
to be gender sensitive.
Yes.
Before I get kicked out of the interview.
Yeah. Yes,
so that speaks to the issue of key person in the business. When a business loses a key person, there are insurance products that you can use to avoid a situation where the losing of a key person becomes catastrophic. Because sometimes without proper planning, the losing of the key person may also mean the dying of the business altogether. But there will be situations will vary from place to place, and there will be situations where the key person may be a shareholder in the business. You lose that person, and you maybe want to settle their shareholding and buy them out. You want insurance to be able to do that. Or that person was a key person, you want to have resources even to hire to replace the person. You need to have resources to do that. So there is what is called the key man insurance. It's very important that if you've got people who are very critical in your business or the survival of your business, you put them on what is called the key man insurance. That's probably the only insurance or life insurance where you can insure someone who is not your spouse. Someone who is not your spouse, because insurance, there's what is called the insurable interest. You need to have insurable interest in someone's life to be able to insure them. I can't just pick a call and phone an insurance company and say I want to insure Mollen. Because it creates a hazard to Mollen that my intentions may be that I arrange for Mollen to be eliminated so that I bank the 1 million.
No, I see.
So that's the thing. But with insurable, when there's demonstrable insurable interest, especially from a business point of view, the business can take it. Then what is called the key man insurance, where you can insure someone's life. And if that someone was say to pass on, if they're insured, say for 100,000, for 1 million, say for example, 1 million pounds, or maybe 1 million rands, that can be done under the key man insurance. But that is at the key person level. Then down to the level where you can have anyone working in the business. I sometimes put it to my team that every person working in the business is a business unit in their own right. They either are making a profit or they are making a loss. Over the long term, if the position is relevant enough to be allocated a person, then that position should be profitable in its own right. So if you take that approach and say to all the employees you have in your business, it may be a small business with 10 people, 5 people, it may be a medium to large business, 100 employees, 500 employees, every position is important. So what you then want to look at is, with all those situations, you may not be able to do key man insurance for all of them, but there will arise a situation where by being in your company, by working for the same business, for your business, you kind of take some responsibility. God forbid something was to happen to an employee, the company will end up having to pick some responsibility. Do you want to have a situation where you ignore that your employee has passed on. It may be an accident, it may be illness, you have passed on, they don't have insurance, they can't even do a proper burial, and the employer is ignoring.
Yes.
It will end up being a problem for the business because it brings the business itself into disrepute.
Yes. Actually, you actually pointed two critical things that I think all the people that watch this interview or even listen to it, those that are running their own enterprise will take into account. The key man, the person that is key to make sure that you have the key man policy, as well as to make sure each and every person that is working within the entity has a form of insurance. Because let's say if something happened, like a funeral cover or something like that, something happened, people look after to say, where was this person working? This is normally applies to small to medium enterprises where they don't have enough resources to do those big benefits and all those. But if the company ensure that it's everyone has a cover of some sort for the uncertainties that will happen, the premature death, it will actually it will actually help a lot in the burial. Should something happen.
That's very true, because what will happen is if it's a small to medium organization, like you rightly pointed there, if someone passes on, death or accident, people ask, where were they working?
Yes.
Is there a plan? Where with big organization, you may find that they may have a death in service policy, which is being paid for by the company, or something like you get 4 times your annual salary as a death in service insurance. They can pick the cost of the burial. But for some small organizations, the capacity may not exist to say every person who works in the company, we are going to do an insurance for you. If the capacity exists, yes, you can do it, as you can cover your employees, but also you can also consider to say to employees, you need to have some form of insurance, and help them in picking up the correct insurance, or even saying, okay, fine, we'll give you a subsidy towards your insurance premium. But if nothing is done, it almost becomes entirely the problem for the company, because you will not be able to say, oh, okay, a colleague in a company which employs 20 people, a colleague has died. The family does not have any money either for burial or for repatriation or whatever, or cremation, if that's the case, and the company has moved on. You move on, you employ another person to fill in the position and move on. The guy who has died, none of your business. It just won't work like that. Even your other employees will say, oh, hold on here. So this could happen to me as well. The employer doesn't care this much. So it's very important to look at that from a business planning point of view, to say, key person in the business, you really want to consider having key insurance, key man insurance, or key person insurance. For the rest of the employees, the budget, the company affording, you can also look at saying, okay, we have funeral insurance, because the last thing that can happen is a funeral, and then the people, there's no money for the burial. Or even you could also consider to take like a medical insurance package for the employees as well, to say if an employee is sick, you want it to help them recover. That's why you find a lot of other companies, big companies, would even introduce like gym membership schemes to support their employees. The whole idea is to make sure the employees keep fit. A fit employee is a productive employee. And also they feel valued by having those packages.
Yes. So what I'm seeing here is we, as employers, we really need to educate the team on the right insurance policies to take. Should the company have resources, actually even subsidize and encourage such, because it's inevitable that death is going to come or accidents are going to happen, and the loss of a key person will be detrimental to the company. So I think that it's something that we need to take as a take out point there, to make sure that we have insurance for as an organization to educate, start to educate, to say these are the risks that are there as individual and as well as a company should an uncertainty happen. So tell me more now. I know on the introduction, I didn't dwell much into how are you doing as a business to alleviate or even help these stresses that might come due to uncertainties in the area of insurance? Who is diaspora insurance? How do you come into play into alleviate the subject that we are talking about here of premature death? And what do you do to alleviate or help businesses as well as individuals?
Yeah, yes, the diaspora insurance is like was said at the introduction. We are an insurance and risk management solution headquartered in the UK. We've got operations and call center in South Africa. We cover clients globally. So basically, our main product, our household product, is called the Diaspora Funeral Cash Plan, and it's an innovative funeral insurance policy, which as opposed to the traditional funeral policies that are based on giving people goods and services. Our policy does not give people goods and services. Instead, we just give cash. And to make sure that there's immediate financial intervention in the situation of a bereavement, our policy pays, on paper, we say we pay within 24 to 48 hours. But in most cases, on receipt of proof of death, the payments are always done within 2-3 hours. So that's how the diaspora insurance is structured. We do other products like life insurance, like critical illness, income protection in the UK. But our international global product is the Diaspora Funeral Cash Plan, which we do at individual family levels. We do at individual policy, family level, family policy. We also do group policies. And employee companies that are looking to cover their employees would fall under the group policy, where you can have your employees, maybe you've got 10, 20 employees, 30 employees, and you just want to make sure that, God forbid, something was to happen to them, to any of the employees, the company is not found wanting. So you cover them maybe equal amounts, 10,000, I'm talking about US dollars, or you can say 30,000 rands each or something like that. But the policy is available. We've been operating and we are fully regulated in the UK. We also are regulated by FSCA in South Africa. And the policy has been operating for more than 10 years now. So it's truly tested and tried, and it's a very, very solid proposition with the international reinsurance backing up the policy.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so another question that I have in terms of group, let's say I'm a small company, I have 3 people or 4 people or something like that. Because one thing that I've seen is at another time, small companies, sometimes some policies, they don't allow them. They'll say, we want minimum of this. Is diaspora's cash plan like that as well, where you say you need minimum of these people?
Yes, we do. It's really the reason for the minimum number. We work on a minimum of 10. The minimum number being because a group policy comes with the issue of group administration. So you're administering a policy for many people under one policy.
Okay.
So that's how a group policy works. So the minimum requirement for us is 10 people. And for at a company level, you can decide to say each employee take your policy, and you will subsidize the policy minimum of so much, so that the company can subsidize on individual policies, or the company can say what we do with some other organizations like say church groups, clubs, associations, or burial societies, is that they can join, they can actually set up a group policy where all the premiums are paid as a single premium.
Okay.
All the people who are covered. Then for companies that you would say, okay, to employees, take if you don't qualify for the group option, you can then say to your employees, take your policy, we'll subsidize the policy maybe 50 rands or 100 rands or 200 rands per employee to have your funeral insurance. But what will be critical is to make sure that the funeral policies at individual levels are maintained. Because you may find yourself subsidizing for funeral insurance and there's no funeral policy.
Yes.
So that's what you want to avoid.
Yes, so you'll be just giving out that subsidy, but it's not going where it should be. So I think it's something
you realize that there's a problem when premature death happens, and You thought the
Yeah.
company was sorted and protected, but so that's important to make sure that the policies are up and running okay, or in the if it's not being paid through the company. But otherwise, if it's possible in other markets, it's very easy to just set it up as a group company, as a group policy for the whole company, then all the individuals are. And we also then allow to say if an individual leaves the organization, you can, as part of their exit, they can be allowed to continue with their policy separately from the company.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that's pretty much answers to say, even though you have a minimum, as a company, you can go on from the HR perspective to subsidize, and that's a benefit. I'm sure if the employees know that our company is subsidizing our funeral cover, it's something to thank or to be grateful for, because the employer would have initiated and would have seen the need for that, because an employee is someone who is key to the organization. So
Correct.
that will help the employee know that my employer has taken a first step. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And you also feel valued, which is very important for most employees as well.
Yes. So I think what my next question to you is, how can entrepreneur or individual get started? Let's say I have a small business. Now I know that I'm less than 10 people, and I want my guys, I've understood the risk of losing one of my key person due to premature death, as well as, even if it's not a key person, but all my employees, I know that should something happen as a company, I am prepared, because I cannot sit down when one of my employees pass away. I would need to do something as an organization. Is that expensive to start doing that? And how can the individual like that, or entrepreneur or a business person like that, get started?
No, it's things like funeral insurance tend to be fairly cheap, and they are based on the age of the person being covered. So you find that the younger, most people who are still working age will still be in the probably under 65. So they tend to be fairly reasonably cheap to cover as well. And for us, we are reachable on diasporainsurance.com, diasporainsurance.com. And there's a call me back form there that people can fill in, and our team will get in touch and support. If it's for individual policies, there's also a get a quote. The moment you are on the website, you can see get a quote, and you can click there and fill in the details, and the team will get in touch and support the inquiry. So the options are there, and it's very easy to get support in terms of covering yourselves or covering the employees. And the team we have got a team which is always available to support, or even live chat support on our website. You can go on our website, there's an option for live chat. There's also an option for you to just be called back straight away within seconds of being on the website. So the action points are quite clear.
Okay. So before we just wrap up, as a business, I know you have experienced quite a lot during this COVID as well, claims and all those kind of things. Do you have a case study on how some business or some individuals successfully navigated the loss of key people? Maybe.
Yeah, it's quite a lot. We're an international organization, and what has tended to happen is that in one region, COVID is now managed because of advanced vaccination. Things are settling, but you find yourself being exposed in another region. So it was like a seesaw, really, where you think, we have come through the West. Then you realize, in another region, there seem to be a lot of claims coming from there. And it's been a trying time, but as a business, we are very, very solid, and we've got international AAA rated reinsurance. So, and we are cash flow wise, we are a very strong business. That's why we are able to religiously meet our claims within the time frames promised. So we are. Even our client reviews are we are 5 rated client review by our clients on our Facebook page, on other platforms, because we really deliver on our promises. But otherwise, there's been a lot of cases The most peculiar case is for a young lady. She lives in UK, husband, the children in UK. She goes to Zimbabwe on a business trip. Unfortunately, she passed away in Zimbabwe. And the decision was, yes, I was born and bred in Zimbabwe, but I now live in the UK. The family wanted her to be buried in the UK. So because we give cash as diaspora insurance or diaspora funeral cash plan, it gives a lot of families the flexibility that they need to be able to give their loved ones, to honor their loved ones' wish, to give their loved ones a dignified send-off. So in that case, the young lady, Pamela, because we did a testimonial and the life is screening of a send-off, was repatriated from Zimbabwe back to UK for burial.
Yeah. Okay.
So she was repatriated. We called that reverse repatriation. If you go on our YouTube channel, Diaspora Insurance, you can just search on YouTube. You can see a lot of testimonials and a lot of work that we do in the community. So that one was a reverse repatriation, which was one of the biggest send-off I've ever seen. And it's because it's simply because cash gives you flexibility. We've got so many cases of people being laid to rest abroad in South Africa, in the UK, in Australia, Canada, you name it. And it's because, again, cash knows no border. Therefore, our clients have complete control of how they want their send-off to be done. Because our reality as people, as a global community now, the world is increasingly a global village. Home is where you live. But for most first-generation migrants, they need to be fixated about being taken home when they die. But that fixation is not permanent. That's what people need to accept. Me, like myself, I live in the UK. I've been living in the UK for the past 20 years. But the reality is that, God forbid, if I were to pass on, I may want to be taken back home to my country of origin. But the longer I live in the UK, and the moment I start losing people who matter to me back in the country of origin, my family, it becomes the focus, and it will be my children, possibly my grandchildren here in the UK. So I end up just being late. So I want a policy then that will be able to have that flexibility. To say, if I want to be taken to be buried abroad, I use the same policy. If I want cremation, I use the same policy. If I want burial in the country of origin, I use the same policy. So whatever you want with the cash policy, you can do. And also cash, besides the flexibility, cash also gives people another dimension. Because with a funeral, unlike what funeral director policies would do, to say, we'll give you a coffin, we'll give you transport. With a cash cover, you are able to cover a whole host of other expenses. It may be things like food, church service, flowers, photography, videography. After the funeral, rather after the burial, you want to plan a memorial. After the memorial, you want to plan tombstone. All those things would need money. So with a good cash cover, you can cover all those aspects. But in terms of testimonials, there are lots of testimonials on our Facebook. There are testimonials on our YouTube channel. And we have done a lot of situations. And in the pandemic now, because people suddenly found themselves caught up in a situation of quarantining, like in the UK, for most countries, you were having to quarantine if you were to come back into the UK from another country. And it was costing £2,250 for 10 days. So you can imagine, if you have got a funeral and you travel out of the country, you come back, you have to quarantine. So there was a lot of painful experiences. But again, with the cash cover, you can meet some of those challenges.
No, I think that's very important. I was so wowed by the testimony that you just shared. Imagine if the cover was only saying it's applicable where you are, you'll be buried where you are. That wish was not going to be met, and which is so important, and it's critical, and it brings a lot of stress if such policies or such things are not planned for.
We actually had another peculiar case where a lady traveled from London to Canada. First night in Canada, the following morning she didn't wake up. She just didn't wake up. Whether it was jet lag or something, I always God knows. But she then died away. She died in Canada. You are living in UK, you could travel to Canada, and you die in Canada on arrival. But luckily, the lady, the policy that was taken by the son-in-law, and it was a cash cover. So the cash was used to pay for a send-off from Canada. In a case, she wanted to be repatriated to Zimbabwe. So she ended up being repatriated to Zimbabwe straight from Canada. That's the essence of a cash cover, to give you total control and total flexibility as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting, very interesting. Thank you very much, Jeff, for coming to this interview. So, because from our side, as people who are dealing with entrepreneurs, different business, we have seen that as stress that is causing a lot of businesses, and actually a lot of families are not planning for the death or premature death of our loved ones. So we have actually realized that since October is a month of health, mental awareness, we just thought, let's bring you on board so you can shed some light on how best can people plan around this, even as individuals, as businesses, especially small to medium businesses. Because, you know, most of the time as a small business or as a business grows, you are after to say, okay, how do you maximize? But actually we have learned in this interview that there is a lot of things that you can do as a business, even educating the people. It starts from there to say, to take ABC policies and even the key main policies. Actually, thank you very much for sharing that with our clients as well. We're gonna make use of this interview to our clients and help them to make sure that they prepare for that, even the key main policy as well, because if you have an idea, it can't just die down when you are no longer there, because you didn't plan for it. Because I know for certain, as a tax practitioner, death and tax, those are certain things you need to know of after you are on this earth. So thank you very much, Jeff, for
thank you so much for bringing us in, and we are always available. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you to the listeners, and we are available on our website. Please reach us out, and we are here to support. Even we can talk more about other insurance products, but otherwise, thank you for listening in.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mollen, for inviting us.
Bye.
Thank you again. Bye for now.
Bye.